Hey, Buff Nation, voice of the boss, Mark Johnson here. Coming up this week at the Buffalo Stampede. Great game, but Colorado comes up short in a comeback. Ends up losing to number 8 USC 48-41. We're going to recap it with my partner, Gary Barnett. We'll talk with sideline reporter Andy Lindell. We're going to hear from Coach Prime and a number of players and a great player, Michael Westbrook, as well. All this week at the Buffalo Stampede. Takes the handoff, brings it on the near side, caught on the numbers, turns upfield 35-40, 45-50-yard line, foot race down the near sideline, being chased 25-20, 15. It was just a quick little flip on the near sideline.
Omarion Miller.
Well, if you didn't know who number 14 was, that's Omarion Miller, a young man out of Vivian, Louisiana. Big play after big play after big play, almost 200 yards receiving and a touchdown. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. Coach Gary Barnett, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. A heck of a game. Buffs fall 48-41 to USC. No moral victories, but wow, that was fun.
That was fun, Mark. And but at some point in time, you tell your team, they can't beat you unless you help them.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And we did.
That's what happened with this team. We helped them.
Yeah.
And we got to quit helping.
Right.
But still, I can't wait to see them play again. And I know you're the same way, and I know they're the same way. Just listening to those guys out there and knowing what went on in the locker room, they can't wait to get out and play again and not help the next team.
Yeah. They were outstanding. Omarion Miller, though. How about you? Identified him in fall camp. Gary at one point said to me, "Hey, this number 14 is pretty good, but he was buried behind so much talent." Wow, when he got his opportunity.
He was. I did an interview before the season started, and Romy says, who should we look for? And I said, Omarion Miller, number 14. Well, he never played.
Right.
I thought, let's see what I know. But I thought he was outstanding in camp. We had so many guys that can play, and now he got his chance and put up the numbers. 194 yards is amazing the first game you play.
Yep, big kid, 6'2", but 195, 200 pounds, and he made play after play after play. We talked in the pregame about running the football. Colorado had not done that. 56 yards a game, 132nd in the country. They did. They committed to it, and they did so effectively in this game.
They did, and you get what you emphasize, and they did, and they got the run, and it helped them in the whole game.
Afterward, we heard from Coach Prime after the Buffs fell 48-41 to USC. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Wonderful game. Played our hearts out. I just addressed the team and told them that I love each and every one of them, and coaches included, because they were resilient. They did not give up when they had multiple opportunities to give up. They fought to the end. We sustained injuries. Next man up came in and did their thing. Marion played his butt off. I think he had a $196 running game, showed his face, and you see how better the offense flowed with the running game. We can't come out and make a surge and right before halftime, then we start saying, okay, we're in the game. Overall, I'm really proud of not only the young men, the coaches, the fan base, the student body, all of you. I'm truly proud of the way we represented Boulder today. I really am. We challenged them tremendously at halftime to, everybody say they want the light until they get in the light. Now, when you get in the light, the thing about the light, it echoes your blemishes. So we challenged them to come out here and I ain't got time to be trying to fire you up and give you the most dynamic speech that I could craft, intellectually. I ain't got time for that today. I just wanted to come out there. I want them to lift me up, motivate me, encourage me. Not that I needed it, but I wanted to flip the script on them because I knew what they had in them. All they had to do is believe. And regardless of the color of the uniforms on the opposing team, they just have to believe. And that's something that they're doing week in and week out. We're excited, truly, with the attention that's warranted to this wonderful, beautiful university. I'm excited and elated to be the coach here. I'm excited to really talk about the wonderful attributes that we possess. I am happy and thankful that we are a voice of hope, of just desire and want. I think that's the thing that's touching because we understand what's coming. If you can't see what's coming, with CU football, you've lost your mind. You're just a flat-out hater if you can't see what's going on and what's going to transpire over the next several months.
Coach Prime, after the Buffalo's 48-41 loss to USC, we continue with Coach Gary Barnett. How about the defensive side of the ball? Very different second half than we saw in the first half.
Yeah, Mark, the first half, we saw a defense out there that didn't have any confidence at all. It just looked like they were playing catch-up, and they were out of sorts. And that's why the score got to what it did. They gave up some big plays. Then they shot themselves in the foot on special teams. And so, but at halftime, it looked like, and I want to give O'Marion Miller the credit, because what he did as we came out the second half seemed to spark everybody. I don't know what really happened, but that's, from our viewpoint, that's what it looked like. That all of a sudden, this young man's performance inspired everybody on that football team to play better.
You coached a lot of offense and quarterbacks over your career. Did you enjoy watching those two guys, Caleb Williams, Shedeur Sanders?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely do. And I love watching them go through their checks, and I love watching them take control and throw. I like the different arm angles. I like all that. Although I used to say, no, and then, oh, good play, because he completed it. So, but yeah, I love watching guys play like that. I mean, you complete 60 passes in a day like those two guys did off of 85 throws. My gosh, all those yards.
Shedeur ends up with 50-some yards rushing. Do you think that's going to be something that'll be consistent, or was it just specific and
No, I think it's got to be. I think that's the answer to sacks, is the fact that he can run.
Right.
And you're just going to have to take the chance. I know they've wanted to avoid those particular moments and put him in that situation, but you got to do it. You see what it does when it happens.
Buffs did give up 3 sacks today, but you're dealing with one of the teams. In fact, they were number 1 in the country. USC was in sacks. They had 16 coming in. That's Coach Gary Barnett. Buffaloes fall 48-41 to USC. Great college football game here at Folsom Field. We're going to talk with a sideline reporter, Andy Lindell, coming up next. Free play. Shedeur sets, going to rifle this one down the side. Hoover's out there, and he makes the grab at the 20-yard line. O'Marion Miller. Big play by a young man. The one-handed grab that set up the purple Lamborghini, by the way. Back in Buffalo Stampede, voice of the Buffs. Mark Johnson, 48-41 of Southern Colorado. A heck of a college football game on a Saturday here in Boulder. Andy Lindell, a sideline reporter, voice of the Buffs. Mark Johnson.
Real quick, are you allowed to give that play away? Because I tweeted it out that's what it's called. Are we going to get in trouble?
I specifically, when Sean Lewis told me a couple weeks ago, he and I talked before the games, and I said, what do you got anything coming up? And he said, keep an eye open for this. And he told me what it was and what it was called. I said, can I use that or say that? And he said, yeah, go right ahead. It's named after a Rick Ross song. How did you not know that?
I know, but I'm just saying, if he starts calling purple Lamborghini, all of a sudden we giving away the secrets.
No, I don't
It's like
so.
Peyton's Omaha. That's all I wanted to know.
I don't think we're giving anything up on that one. So much to talk about in this ball game. Tale of two halves. Colorado really showed some character the way they turned it at halftime and made this a heck of a game.
Yeah, they did. Well, they kept possession, right? They kept possession. They stayed on the field. There was some running game involved this time, as we talked about in pregame. But I think it really shows the home field advantage that you can have here. I think the coaches are starting to tap into that. This is another common theme. You guys talked about it in the third quarter. It's a hot day. Their defense couldn't get off the field. And what I loved was Sean Lewis didn't go out there and try to keep running the same plays that weren't working. You've seen other teams do that before. Sean Lewis found creative ways to get Dylan Edwards involved today. They pitched the ball out a lot. Shedeur Sanders said, fine, I'll run it myself if I had to. And I thought we saw some new wrinkles, some new things on tape that now other teams are going to have to get ready for. And I think it was big for them to do it against USC. I'm excited to see what they can do with these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, getting that defense back on its heels a little bit. Sean Lewis always talks about the Folsom fast, right? 90 snaps to the ball, keeping that defense out there and taxing them a little bit. The way they ran the football, though, this team had not. They were 132nd in the country, 56 yards a game, almost 200 yards rushing today. The value of that is, you can't overstate it.
Yeah, I know we all love fast break offense, and I think our old buddy Mike Sanford called it basketball on grass. Sometimes you got to be able to run the ball. You've got to balance out at times. You can't let the pass rush tee off. They didn't allow that today.
Yeah, great quarterback matchup today between two Heisman candidates, Caleb Williams, the guy that has the Heisman Trophy, and Shedeur Sanders. In fact, afterward, we heard from QB1 after the Buffs fell to USC. Powered by Ford. Cars, trucks, and SUVs built for America. Built Ford proud.
All it is I've been telling him, I said, bro, I need you to step up even from day one. Whenever he was just out in summer workouts and stuff, and I told him, I said, bro, you could be a big part of the offense, or you could just have a freshman year and just wait. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to you, and I'm glad he finally came and understand who he is as a player and understand, like, the level. Everybody's human. Everybody can be beat, and he has what it takes to be able to go out there and dominate. So I'm happy he was able, in one of the biggest games of the season, able to go out there and do that.
Trusting in the play, we go over those plays every day, just building confidence with each other, and, just believe I can make that play. So, it's all about trusting your teammates. I dreamed about playing like this, I just dreamed I'd come out here and destroy, and I did it.
Being a grad transfer, I got experience, so I was ready for the moment. I can tell you this whole week, I probably wasn't able to sleep a lot. I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it. And just playing against a quarterback like Caleb Williams, man, that's a dream. I wouldn't want to be nowhere else than what I was today. I feel like I gave everything I had. There's still some stuff we got to correct as a defense, but overall, man, it was a dream come true, man.
Another great game by Shedeur Sanders. 4 touchdowns that have 1 interception in this ball game as we continue with Andy Lindell after the bus fall 48-41 to USC. Defensively, this team played better, in particular in the second half today.
Oh, yeah, they did, and they didn't allow USC to just keep gashing them. See, again, the guys keeping their heads up, that may not seem like a big deal. This didn't look pretty at halftime. Let's not kid ourselves. Mikey Harrison talked to you about that in your interview. They came out in the second half. They had a renewed vigor. They had a purpose. They tackled better. They got some young guys playing well on the defensive side of the ball, too. And, again, that's something you and I talked about in postgame. When you can get young players to show up at moments that you need it, I think it's really a big key. We haven't seen that out of this team in a while because, let's be honest, anybody good has been playing. They didn't have anybody that they could hold back. The depth this team has at the skill positions is really impressive.
Did you enjoy the quarterback battle here, like Caleb Williams, Shedeur Sanders? That was awful fun to watch, wasn't it?
That was so ridiculous, and it's you and I have watched quarterbacking for a lot of time. What have we covered games almost 20 years together? Caleb Williams keeps his feet set and does everything with the top of his body. It just is, we talked about it with Coach at one point, the jump pass out of bounds, the new quarterbacks, these younger quarterbacks that have been just kind of given the freedom to improvise, almost like you're a point guard in basketball. Just get the ball to the right guy, however it is. Don't worry about the set the right base all the time. If you have the arm, it can be so much fun to watch. And you hate to say it because he's on the other team, but he was a lot of fun to watch today.
But both those guys,
Shedeur was great.
And just manipulating the pocket, keeping plays alive. It was a joy to watch. Too bad the Buffs had to come out on the short end. 48-41, the Buffs fall to USC here at Wilson Field. That's our silent reporter, Andy Lindell. Coming up next, we're going to hear from some of the players as we continue on the Buffalo Stampede. Well, there, 21, looking right, swings it back left on his screen. Caught by Mike Miller. He's got a blocker out front, running at the 10, running at the 5, end zone, touchdown, touchdown, Colorado. Mikey, we like it, and Colorado's pulled within 48-27. Remember they used to say that about the great Minnesota Vikings receiver Chris Carter, all he does is catch his touchdowns? That's our Mikey Harrison. He seems to have a knack for finding the end zone, and he did again in this ballgame against USC. Buffs end up falling 48-41 to the Trojans. Back in the Stampede, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, and afterward, we caught up with number 87. Gary, from up in the booth, Coach Barnett just said to me, he said, you either, if you don't win, you either don't win or you'll learn, I guess, right? And so what's your takeaway from what we saw here today?
We just got to do a better job of starting off fast. I mean, we didn't play a good brand of football in the first half, and myself included. I played a horrible first quarter, and I didn't even play that good overall this game. And so, overall, everyone just needs to be better. And like at the end of the game, everyone's talking about you see what it looks like when we play together and when everyone does their job and executes. And I think that's what's frustrating right now is just the potential this team has. And we're 3-2, and I don't think we played good in the games that we've won either. So if we could really just pull all this together, the second half shows what this can be when we all come together as one and play a good brand of football, the brand of football that we know we have to play.
Michael, it does say something about this team a little bit because it's not easy to turn a game midstream, if you will. So you're down significantly at halftime, but to come back then and both sides of the ball, offense and defense, up their game in the second half, that says something about you guys, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're just a gritty team. I mean, everyone in here loves each other and just wants to win. So, I mean, the things that are said at halftime makes it easy to come out and play hard, even though we came out and started slow in the first half. And people left at half, but you can see like no one loses faith, and everyone comes out and plays played better in the second half, but overall it just wasn't a good enough game. But there's definitely a no-quit factor that this team has, so I guess that's what you could say.
You know, I've been saying to some of the guys who talked to here, I said, you know, there's always that old line in sports about when your opportunity presents itself, right?
Yes,
your guy, Mario Miller, really did that here today, didn't he? Did you know he had that in him?
I knew he had that in him. I was actually excited to see him out there, and I'm really happy for him when he got out there. I think he had a 196, something like that. So, and touchdown? Yep. No, I'm happy for the kid. And he's one of those guys that just shows up and works every day, doesn't complain, doesn't say anything. This was the first game he really got a chance to go out there and show what he has, and we've seen him make plays all throughout fall camp, all throughout the season so far in practice. I thought he was going to get on the field last week, and he didn't. This week, obviously, we have injuries right now. We got an opportunity, and I'm really happy for him to step up like that. And I wasn't even surprised. You know, like that's just the type of player he is.
You found the end zone here today. If I remember correctly, it came off a little tight end screen. You guys have been working on that. They turned out pretty well.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well. We actually ran it in the first half, or I think it was the second quarter. It didn't hit the way we wanted to. It wasn't the look we wanted, and I didn't give number 2 a good throwing lane. We came off the field and talked about it, and then we've worked that play quite a few times in practice up until now. So I'm glad that Coach Lou came back to it for me, gave it another chance, and we made some adjustments on the sideline with what me and Shadur talked about, and then it hit the second time. So I'm just glad we got back to it.
All right, lastly here. So here you come through this stretch. We knew before the season this 5-game stretch was brutal, but you're 3-2. Okay, you come out on the plus side of that. You go on the road to Arizona State next week, and you've got UCLA coming up, and Stanford and Arizona. There's some games that I know you're going to compete in. You feel good about the second half of the season?
Yeah, I feel good about everything. I felt good last week against Oregon when we didn't play good. I felt good about today when, you know, you look at the tape, we probably feel like we should have won this game if we played the way we played in the second half. And you know, those Oregon and USC are 2 of the big powerhouses in this conference right now. Obviously, there's a lot of good teams. We still have to face Utah, UCLA. But no, based on what we've done when we play good together, I don't think this team is scared of anybody. And at the end of the day, it's just another game, and there's no reason we can't win when we put everything together like we sort of did in the second half. So, I mean, I think if anything, this just makes everyone excited for what's to come once we can finally pull everything together the way we know it should look, the way Coach Prime knows it should look, and the way offense and defense knows things should look when it's functioning all together. So.
There's Mikey Harrison, number 87, after the Buffaloes end up falling 48-41 to USC. Now sit at 3-2 in the season, 0-2 in Pac-12 conference play, heading to Arizona State next Saturday. Coming up next, we're going to continue with post-game coverage as the Buffs fall to USC here at Folsom Field.
Possession here for the Ducks. Shot on goal, put right into the back of the net. Buffalo score first. A turnover deep in their own territory from the Ducks, and it happens quickly.
Well, soccer got a big win on the road against the Oregon Ducks. 3-1 was the final there, and Shira James, of course, scored. It's almost redundant to say Shira James scored because when they play, she seems to score. She's phenomenal offensively. Back in the Stampede, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Down here in the Thundershoot, Colorado football loses to USC 48-41. We've been talking about Amarian Miller, the freshman out of Vivian, Louisiana, comes out and has a phenomenal game, almost 200 yards receiving. What's the old line? Game, no game? Well, afterward, we hooked up with one of the greats in Colorado history, Michael Westbrook, to talk about what he saw for the young receiver. You saw this young fella comes out here. I know you've been out here a lot. You know these wide receivers. Omarian's a guy that kind of gets buried because there's so much talent, and then comes out and does what he does today.
That's exactly true. There is so much talent at the wide receiver position that we have about 5 or 6 guys that can do what he just did. And, you know, he waited his time, and his time was today. We needed him today, so he showed up.
You know, players and coaches always talk about, you know, like you said, when you get the opportunity, make the most of it, right? This is exactly what you guys refer to all the time.
Exactly. When it's your time, you have to walk the walk. You can't just think about it and talk about it all the time. When they call your number, you got to perform. And we talked about it last night. He's a big guy like you. He's 6'2", 6'3", big, strong kid. What are you looking at physically? What do you see? You know, he's a beast. He was tired. He was exhausted. He wasn't used to this kind of action. I could totally tell. I was up there laughing because I'm like, that boy is exhausted. You could tell, like, when he catch the ball, he started moving slower and slower and slower. But that's what happens over the next few years. That's going to change.
Talking with Mike Michael Westbrook here, one of the great Buffaloes of all time. You know, this is a loss today. We know this game's about winning, but still, what Colorado did, competing with one of the best teams in the country, coming from behind, what does this say about what Prime's doing here?
We could have won that game. Yeah. They're doing a phenomenal job, and people are terrified right now because of what we're doing and how fast we've done it. The future is so bright for us, it's insane.
Kind of fun being a Buff again, eh?
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Always great to catch up with the great Michael Westbrook talking about Amarian Miller. By the way, we shouldn't forget about the defense in this one as well. The unit played very well in the second half, and we connected with linebacker Juju Mitchell after the game. That was a heck of a college football game out there today. Yes, we're here to win, and you want to win. 48-41. How do you guys come away from this game there, Juju?
Man, it was definitely motivating. Like, that second half, that second 30 minutes, we came in that half, and we said, once again, it's about us. We got to go out there. We got to play. We got to keep our eyes on the right spot, and that's what we did. I truly believe we came out that second half like we did the first half. This wouldn't have been a game.
Yeah, I think so as well. What changed at half? It must have been one heck of a halftime speech, but also Charles Kelly, the defensive staff, you guys were able to make some alterations, start to see some things out there that became effective for you, right?
Yeah, definitely just keeping our eyes on the right spot. We say, yo, let's just calm down. Let's just calm down. Identify what we got every play. Let's talk, communicate. I know you've seen the hand signals. We was on the same page, and that second half was very uplifting.
When you've got a guy like Caleb Williams on your side, and you and I talked in the pregame about him and about how tough he can be defended, you know, I think as a game we're on, you guys begin to figure things out. You've got to be incredibly disciplined against a guy like that, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. So on the back end, we just got to match up, plaster. We knew he was going to scramble. We wanted to get pressure in his face. He's not real good with pressure coming from the inside, so that's what we did. Our front seven played their ass off. I'm so proud of them. In the back end, we just got to win one-on-one matchups. Big-time football, big-time plays.
And I think you guys were a better tackling team today, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely. So you didn't really see that many yards at the contact. Players making tackles, flying around. They're going to make a play, but like I said, it's Power 5 football. It's Caleb Williams. He's a good player, and we just kept fighting, and I hope y'all seen that today.
Hey, Juju, why didn't you tell me about Amarian Miller? He was going to turn out to be a star. Where did he come from, man?
Amari from Louisiana. That's my young boy, man. He just be sitting there waiting for his time, and his time came, he shined.
Well, that's the thing that we hear about in football all the time that you players and coaches preach, right? Wait for your opportunity and take advantage of it when it gets there. He's the epitome of that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm proud of him. All the players, I'm proud of everybody, how they fought. Like I said, this is just year one, and we're going to keep stacking, keep building.
All right. You didn't win, but you gained from this. Now you get a chance to go on the road. And the first 5 games was a brutal schedule for you guys. Now you got a chance to go on the road next week. Arizona State. You come back. You got Stanford. You got Arizona. You got some of these other teams, UCLA. It's a chance now, after these first 5 games, to really start making some hay out there, right?
Oh, yeah, it's time to take over. It's time to take over and win out, period.
So there's a bit from the defensive side. Juju Mitchell. Buffs end up falling 48-41 to USC. Heck of a college football game. They're now 3-2, 0-2 in Pac-12 conference play. Next week, we're going to be in Tempe, Arizona. 4:30 Mountain Time game. Coach Bobby Passamento and I are going to hit the air at 2:30 with the Buffalo Stampede pregame show. Wonderful game. Too bad they couldn't come out with a win in this one, but where the needle is pointing in the right direction with Coach Prime and the Buffaloes. That'll wrap up this week's Buffalo Stampede. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We'll talk to you next time.